It's my Aunt Effie, and I just want to say hello to all of you and thank you for coming and letting me talk to you about the latest Stephen King book. It's called Never Flynch. The copyright on it is 2025, so hot off the presses, right? Because this is October 2025. This book has as one of the characters someone who is very near and dear to my heart, maybe yours too if you like Stephen King, Holly. So Holly is one of the main characters in this book again, and gosh, those are just, they've turned into my favorites. So one of the cool things about this book is that we have not one, but two maniacs on the loose. The book twists and turns around these two different maniacs until they kind of end up coming together at some point in the book. There are lots of characters in the book, and I had to grab a card and make a list of the different characters so that I could keep track of them. One of the characters I absolutely loved was Detective Isabel James. She's called Izzy in the book, and they do a really nice, Stephen King does a really nice job of showing us how talented as a detective Isabel is. And so Izzy is also a baseball player. She might be a softball player or baseball player, I'm not sure which, but she played in on the team for it when she was in college, and she was very good, and she was really well known for her drop ball. Apparently you pitch, comes by, and then it drops right at the right moment so that the batter cannot hit the ball. So now that's where one of the maniacs is where Isabel James is. Now, Isabel has worked in the past with Holly. They know each other, and they'll confer on cases once in a while. And Holly is working as a bodyguard for a woman who is a big-time feminist, and she is touring and has asked Holly to be her bodyguard. So she's on a speaking tour. Holly is going from city to city with her and serving as her bodyguard. And there are a whole lot of churches that absolutely do not like her. They have, many of these churches have a radical slant to them. And the whole abortion, anti-abortion issue is at the top of all of that. Now, Izzy, the detective, friend of Holly, they concur sometimes on cases. Izzy calls Holly to talk about her case. So Holly becomes aware of the case Isabel is working, and even though Holly is busy serving as a bodyguard to her own client who has been threatened a lot, she also has in the back of her mind this case that is happening with Isabel. Let's see. There was this guy named Alan Duffrey. Now, Alan Duffrey ends up in prison. He ends up getting shanked, killed in prison. He was a banker. And then it becomes apparent that he was innocent. And so it's very, very interesting to see the psychological effects for all of the people involved in the case. Because there's a guy named Kerry Tolliver who set this banker up to look like a pedophile in order to get him out of the way for a job that the two of them were both after. So Kerry Tolliver, the bad guy who set him up and got him sent to prison, ends up with cancer. And just before he dies, he sends a letter in to the police letting them know that the guy was innocent. So Tom Ada shows up a lot in the story, and Tom is Izzy's partner. Kendall got the banker job that Tolliver wanted, so this guy that set him up was like a paid person that planted fingerprints kind of thing. Anyway, it's a little bit involved. There's the woman who is a feminist is also a writer, and her name in the story is Kate McKay, and Corey is her assistant. Corey gets threatened one day. She's out running errands wearing Kate's hat, and somebody comes up and says, "This is what you deserve," and throws bleach in her face. Of course, she thought it was acid, but it turns out to be bleach. She ends up in the hospital. She's okay. That's when Kate McKay, the feminist, decides that she really does need to have a bodyguard. She gets a bodyguard, but he's very aggressive and actually harms some people in the crowd by assuming that somebody who had a bottle of champagne actually was pulling out a gun and shot that woman. So then Kate McKay, the traveling feminist, decided that she wanted to have a female as her bodyguard. Holly is a little tiny person, but she's very smart, and Holly is well known in the detective and bodyguard community, and they end up referring her to Holly. So let's see. I think I want to tell you a little bit about the other maniac. The whole book is full of really interesting psychological pieces, because this maniac, Christopher, is also known as Christy. He had a twin sister who died, and so he plays both Chrissy and Christopher and moves in and out of that. That's extremely interesting. And Stephen King does a really nice job of showing us the psychological background and the subtleties of why things happen for all of these different characters. The maniac that is associated with Izzy's case is killing one person for each of the people that were on the group that sat and gave him the designation of guilty. So I can't believe there were 9 jurors or 7. I think it's 9 jurors. And so he's just killing somebody and then putting the name of that juror in the dead person's hand. So it's extremely exciting. And as we read the book, we get to find out what each of these jurors goes through. Not each individually, but some jurors feel this way, some feel this way. And we get to see how they respond to what's going on. The district attorney that pushed the case and maybe didn't do as good a job as he should have, because he allowed some evidence in that actually made the guy get found guilty. So what did he feel? What kind of guilt or discomfort was he going through? We got to learn all about that. That's all I'm going to tell you about the book, because it was really fun, and you get to see everything unravel and come together. It was exciting. There's a lot going on in the book. It was really interesting because when I read about the book, I found out that Stephen King really wasn't very happy with it. When he did his first draft, he gave it to his wife to read like he always does, and she handed it back to him and said, "You could do better." So he had rewrite after rewrite on this book until he was finally happy with it, and then he published it. And I know that there are some people who are still saying that it wasn't up to his normal standard, but honestly, every now and then Stephen King writes something that is just kind of but I didn't feel like this was that kind of a book. I was excited and it entertained me all the way through, and I certainly would recommend it. As a reader, I'm really happy with the book. I'm not unhappy about the hours I spent reading it. They were wonderful hours, and I don't know what more a person could want from reading a book. So that's all I'm going to say about that book. This is my Aunt Effie saying, I hope you're reading something wonderful. I am. So tell me about it. Tell me what you're reading in the comments below. Bye.